In June of 1967, 50 years ago, Israel was faced with a four-front war along the borders of Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt. In addition to that, the Israeli military was outnumbered on all fronts and in all services. Israel at the time could only field a total strength of 264,000 soldiers, and this included all the reserves, and therefore could not be sustained for any length of time without destroying the Israeli economy. Facing the Israeli soldiers were over 500,000 Arab soldiers. Israeli tanks were outnumbered by more than 3 to 1. Even the powerful Israeli Air Force could only field 350 aircraft, also outnumbered 3 to 1 by Arab aircraft. Miracles were needed. Great miracles were needed. And of course, there's no end to the miraculous stories that have been documented from the battles of the Six-Day War of 1967, of the Egyptian tank commander in the Sinai Desert who surrendered to a vastly inferior Israeli force on just the second day of the war because a desert mirage made him see hundreds of Israeli tanks, where there were really no more than just a dozen Israeli tanks. Or of the Jordanian forces, who welcomed the Israeli tanks under the command of Colonel Uri Ram into Jordan on just the third day of the war. Why? Because faulty communications misled the Jordanian forces into thinking that these were Iraqi tanks coming to reinforce them. In just 6 days, Israel captured the entire Sinai Desert from Egypt, the West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, including, of course, the Old City, and the Golan Heights from Syria. Instead of being annihilated, instead of being destroyed, Israel had more than tripled her territory from just 8,000 square miles to over 26,000 square miles in just 6 days. Of all Israel's neighbors, Lebanon alone, which of course had the good sense to withdraw from the fighting after only a few hours, lost no land. A West Point general here in America once remarked that though the U.S. Military Academy studies wars fought throughout history, throughout the world, they don't study the Six-Day War. Why? Because what concerns West Point is strategy and tactics, not miracles. And of course, the great miracle of the Six-Day War came at a very heavy price. 776 Israeli soldiers were killed and over 2,500 wounded. And the greatest miracle of the Six-Day War, the reunification of the Jewish people's capital, Jerusalem. Since the times of King David over 3,000 years ago, Jerusalem has been the beating heart of our people. This week, the Jewish people celebrated Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, this year on the 50th anniversary of the Six-Day War. The psalmist tells us, "If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill. Let my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. If I do not remember, if I don't remember you, if I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy." Shabbat Shalom.